What if Ned Stark knelt before Daenerys instead of being executed? Imagine dragons over Winterfell, the north bending the knee and Westeros's fate rewriting itself in fire and honor. The snow fell soft over Dragonstone, where winter had no business coming. Yet there it was, brushing across Daenerys Targaryen's silver hair as she stood on the edge of the cliff, her dragons circling above. She had been warned the north would never bend, that they were proud, cold and stubborn. But then Ned Stark arrived, not in chains, not in rebellion, but with his head held high and a sword not drawn but sheathed. He had heard of her mercy. He had also heard of her fire. The truth was, Ned Stark had lost too much already. Robert, Lyanna, Jon Arryn. He had watched kingdoms rise and fall on the whims of honor twisted out of shape. The game had broken too many good men, and if he was going to play it now, it would be by flipping the board entirely. So he rode south, not to warn her, not to threaten her, but to offer something no one else ever dared: alliance. Daenerys had expected defiance, maybe even a hidden dagger. But what she saw in Ned's eyes wasn't fear or ambition, it was conviction. When he bowed before her and said, "The North will stand with fire if fire stands for justice," she didn't speak. She simply turned, wind whipping through her cloak, and whispered a single word in Valyrian. The dragons landed behind her like thunder from the gods. Okay, pause. Did anyone else just get chills? Because what happens next will literally flip the entire power structure of Westeros upside down. And if you think Cersei's going to take this lightly, oh, you sweet summer child, let's dive in. Word of their alliance spread faster than wildfire. Varys whispered it in the Red Keep's darkest corners, and Cersei's wine cup nearly shattered in her hand. "Ned Stark," she spat. "The man who once called her father mad now bows to his daughter?" Jaime said nothing. He was already calculating how long it would take Daenerys' dragons to reach King's Landing. But it wasn't just politics. This alliance ignited something ancient. Old Northmen, once bound to the First Men, now found themselves pledging swords to a queen of Valyria. The very bloodlines that once warred for the Dawn were now uniting against the dark future that crept beyond the Wall. And in the crypts of Winterfell, ghosts stirred. Jon Snow stood beside Daenerys when she first walked through Winterfell's gates, her dragons flying overhead as thousands of northern eyes stared in awe and suspicion. Sansa's jaw clenched. Arya vanished before the welcome feast even began. But Bran, he only stared. Through her. As if seeing the child she once was and the queen she might become. "I see the path, but I do not yet see the cost," Bran whispered later that night. "She will bring peace, or burn everything to get it. Wait, what?" That's the kind of line that makes you want to pause, rewind, and scream. Because Bran knows. He always knows. And the fact that even he can't see the cost. Yeah, we're in for chaos. In King's Landing, Cersei didn't wait. She sent gold, ravens, and sellswords across the sea. The Golden Company landed weeks later, their commander eager for blood and coin. But their loyalty wasn't to Cersei, it was to the war. And where war blooms, dragons feast. Meanwhile, tensions in the north burned quiet and deep. Sansa confronted Ned behind closed doors. "You swore we'd never kneel again." "I swore to protect our people," he replied. "Not our pride. She has dragons. We have snow and honor. We have her trust, and for once maybe we can end a war before it starts." But Jon was watching, and every time Daenerys looked at him, something pulled in her, something dangerous. He was strong, silent, and burdened with secrets he didn't yet know. And when their hands brushed in the war room, Tyrion saw it. His face tightened. "You love him," he said to her one night. "I don't know him. That never stopped your ancestors." "And look how that ended," she replied. But her voice trembled. "Here's where it gets crazy. Because right as this alliance stabilizes the realm, something dark moves in the north. The Night King doesn't wait. He accelerates. The wall falls earlier. Hardhome burns faster. And now Daenerys and Ned, together, must unite Westeros not for thrones but survival. Yet survival has its own politics. Cersei plays a new game. She sends ravens to old enemies. House Martell, the remnants of House Frey, even broken Greyjoys. Promises them power, revenge, legacy. Anything to stop the Dragon Queen. Littlefinger, ever the rat in the grain, arrives in Winterfell again, cloaked in diplomacy, but soaked in ambition. He offers Sansa something poison-sweet. Marry into power, not into fire. You deserve more than to be her warden. Sansa listens. Too long. Meanwhile, Daenerys holds a council, Stark, Targaryen, Lannister, Tyrion, and Snow. Plans are laid. Armies must march north. Supplies must be redirected. But there's not enough time. The enemy doesn't sleep. The real war is coming. You think this alliance will save us, Davos mutters to Jon, watching the snow thicken. No, Jon replies, but it gives us a fighting chance. Snow slammed against the walls of Winterfell like a warning. It wasn't the soft fall of winter. It was a blizzard born from something unnatural. Bran felt it first. That stillness in the air, that cold crawling under the skin. And then the vision struck. He gasped in the godswood, eyes rolled back, fingers clenched into the snow. The raven's wings beat frantically in his mind, 1,000 voices whispering the same truth. He rides south. The Night King was no longer marching. He was flying. On a dragon, an undead dragon. The news came not through ravens, but through fire. Viserion's scream echoed from beyond the trees one night, and when the flames burst along the frozen edge of the north, they lit the sky blue. Death had taken flight. Inside the castle, Daenerys and Ned stood over maps, arguing over impossible timelines. "We don't have the numbers," said Ned. "We don't have time to count," Daenerys snapped. "And yet, if we rush, we fall. And if we wait, we burn." Tension had begun to slip between them. Not distrust yet, but strain. Ned was used to wars fought with steel and honor. Daenerys had survived wars of fire and deceit. Their hearts were aligned, but their minds pulled in different directions. "Jon," Daenerys said later that night, alone with him by the fire, "do you believe in fate?" "I believe in choice," he said. "And if the choice is between what's right and what's necessary..." He didn't answer. His eyes lingered too long. Her hand brushed his. "Hold up. This moment right here? That fire between Jon and Daenerys, it's not just romantic tension. It's a fuse waiting to ignite everything. And trust me, once it lights..." Nothing in Westeros survives untouched. Sansa noticed it. Her glares in the great hall grew colder than the snow outside. She had fought too hard to let another southern queen steal her home and her family. And worse, she saw Daenerys not as an ally, but a threat to northern rule. "She's burning our future in dragon flame," Sansa told Arya. "She hasn't done anything yet. Yet is always the word before betrayal. And what if it's you who betrays first?" Arya's tone was sharp. Meanwhile, Tyrion drank more, too much. He watched Daenerys grow restless, watched the way Jon made her pause mid-sentence, watched Ned become more cautious with each council meeting. Unity was fragile, and Varys, ever the spider, whispered truths into his ear at night. "She must never know who Jon is," Varys said. "She has a right to know. And Westeros has a right to survive. Her claim dies if his is revealed. So we lie? No, we protect. Oh my God, see what's happening here. The web is forming. Trust is cracking. And the real twist? It hasn't even hit yet. But keep watching, because we're about to go full wildfire." The march began. Daenerys led from above, Drogon's wings casting shadows across the columns of northern and unsullied troops below. Jon rode beside Grey Worm. Sansa remained in Winterfell to hold the north. Arya disappeared again. Bran watched. As they passed through Last Hearth, the horror began. The castle was already gone, torn apart. Everyone dead. Bodies frozen, twisted, rearranged into spiral symbols. A message. Not a slaughter, a challenge. Daenerys dismounted, walking through the snow-stained halls. Her face tightened as she stepped over children's corpses turned into artwork. Ned knelt beside one. "This isn't war," he said. "This is prophecy." "Then let's make it a warning," Daenerys whispered. "They chose to follow me. Let them see what I stand against." She ordered the bodies burned. One by one the fire rose, but Viserion came in the night. They didn't hear him until the blue flame cracked the sky. The undead dragon descended like a ghost on wings of frost. Half the camp didn't even scream. They just burned blue. Jon leapt from his horse, sword drawn. Ghost at his side. Grey Worm shouted orders. The Unsullied formed ranks. Drogon roared overhead but didn't engage. He circled, confused, afraid. "Dragons don't fight their own blood easily," Ned shouted. "Form a shield wall." But it was chaos. Daenerys climbed onto Drogon, screaming in Valyrian, eyes wild with rage. She flew into the storm, chasing Viserion with tears freezing to her face. "Wait, what? Did Dany just go solo against the zombie dragon?" "Yes, she did. And you already know this ain't gonna be a clean win. But what happens up there in that storm? changes her forever. In the clouds, Drogon and Viserion clashed like gods at war. Fire met ice, sky shattered. Snow turned to steam. Daenerys screamed commands, but Viserion didn't obey anything anymore. He was hunger and cold and death. Drogon clawed at his undead brother, fire pouring from his jaws, but Viserion tore back, winging him with frozen breath. Daenerys nearly fell. She clung to Drogon's spine, blood trailing down her arms from the wind and ice cuts. Below, Jon watched helplessly. His face was white, not from snow, but from truth. In that moment, he remembered the words Sam told him in the crypts, the truth he never spoke. You were born Aegon Targaryen, the last male heir of House Targaryen. You have a stronger claim than Daenerys. And there it was, all of it, the choice, the loyalty, the love, the throne. Guys, I don't care who you shipped. This moment, this right here is the crack in everything. Because Jon Snow was never meant to lead, but Aegon Targaryen, he could, and some want him to. Others need him to. Back in Winterfell, Sansa reads a raven, a secret sent by Sam, a name written not in ink but in fire and blood. She looks up slowly, the candlelight flickering in her eyes. Aegon, she says. Arya narrows her eyes. So what now? Sansa folds the letter. Now we choose who gets to survive. Cut back to Daenerys. She and Drogon break through the clouds. Viserion falls behind them, wounded but alive. The enemy retreats, but Daenerys is not victorious. She lands among burned tents and dead soldiers. Faces she swore to protect. She walks among the ashes, finds a northern child's body, scorched beyond recognition. She kneels, silent, broken. Ned approaches her. This wasn't your fault, he says. No, she says. It was yours, and just like that. The alliance begins to crack. Ash clung to Daenerys' hands like guilt she couldn't wash off. Her silver hair was streaked with soot, her armor scratched from the battle in the sky. But worse than any wound on her skin was the silence now stretching between her and Ned Stark. She had blamed him. Not out of strategy, not even out of anger. It had slipped from her lips like a truth that had waited too long to be spoken. This wasn't your fault. No, it was yours. Ned hadn't replied. He'd only looked at her, his eyes older than they had ever seemed. The war had aged him in days. Not the war against the dead, no, the war for the soul of Westeros. Back at camp, the survivors dug graves. The snow was too thick to bury them all, so many were burned again. Always fire, always loss, and Jon. He stared at her from across the embers, his face unreadable. He didn't comfort her. He didn't speak. Because in his chest, two hearts were now at war. Jon Snow had loved her. Aegon Targaryen had a claim. Okay, pause. This inner conflict? That's the slow burn bomb underneath everything. And spoiler alert, it's not going to stay hidden. Because someone else already knows. And they're ready to use it. Varys moved through the camp quietly. Too quietly. He slipped between tents, whispered to commanders, scribbled notes onto parchment. Each letter bore the same words. The true heir lives. The realm must know. He knew Daenerys was unraveling. Not mad, not yet, but close enough that every crack showed. Tyrion confronted him near the War Council fire. You're playing with dragon fire, he warned. And you're pretending she's still the breaker of chains, Varys replied. She saved the North. She scorched it. She mourned the dead. She created them. Tyrion turned away. But Varys called out, You once said if you ever thought she was becoming her father, you'd act. I never said I'd help you commit treason. No, you just promised to protect the realm. Oh my God. Can you feel it? The loyalty fracture. The political backstabbing just beneath the surface. It's Game of Thrones at its finest, and it's only getting bloodier from here. In the heart of Winterfell, Sansa held the Raven's letter again. Aegon Targaryen, she whispered. Arya watched her. It changes nothing. It changes everything. They spoke in hushed tones beneath the old weirwood. He doesn't want the throne, Arya said. Power doesn't care what he wants. And Daenerys? She'll never let him live if she finds out. Later that night, Sansa spoke to Bran. Tell me it isn't true. Bran didn't blink. It is. Then he's the heir. He is. And if Daenerys knows, she will burn the truth before it spreads. And just like that, Sansa Stark decided that Daenerys Targaryen was a threat to the North. Let's take a breath here. This isn't just political posturing anymore. This is murder planning, because the second Sansa believes Dany would kill Jon to keep the throne, All bets are off. Back at the battlefield outpost, Jon stood watch alone. Ghost was beside him, growling softly at the cold. He didn't hear Daenerys approach. "You haven't spoken to me," she said. "There's too much to say." "Then say something. I saw a child's body burned. I didn't breathe fire." "No, but you didn't stop it." Her voice cracked. "I tried." Jon turned, eyes hard. "Did you try hard enough?" Boom. That's the moment. That's the rift. That tiny fracture between them that no dragon can bridge. She reaches for him, but he steps back. And in that step, her loneliness is sealed. Tyrion watches from the shadows. He knows love when he sees it, and he knows fear when it replaces it. Meanwhile, Varys's letters begin to spread. To Riverrun, to Dawn. Even to the Iron Islands, Aegon Targaryen lives. Born of Rhaegar and Lyanna Stark. The North has already bent the knee to the rightful king. The realm stirs. Unrest blossoms. And Jon doesn't even know the letters exist yet. But here's the kicker. Someone else does. Sir Davos intercepts one of the letters before it reaches the Vale. He brings it straight to Jon. Jon reads the inked words, his hands trembling. "Someone's trying to crown me." "Someone's trying to get you killed," Davos says. "Okay, hold on, comment right now. If you were Jon, would you tell Daenerys about the letters? Or burn them and pretend you never saw it? Because either way, the outcome might be the same. Jon does what Jon always does. He tells the truth. He enters Daenerys' tent that night. The firelight dances across her armor. She's waiting, sleepless, hollow-eyed. "There's something you need to know," he says. When he finishes telling her about the letters, about the name, about the bloodline, she doesn't speak for a long time. Then, "You're him." "I don't want it." "But they will want you." She steps toward him. "Promise me you'll never claim it." "I've never wanted the crown." "That's not what I asked." "I won't betray you." "But will you deny it?" The silence between them says everything, and Daenerys steps back. Something in her eyes shuts. Not rage, not tears, resolve. She turns away. "Thank you for telling me," she says softly. "Now I know what I must do." And just like that, Jon walks out thinking he's preserved peace. But inside that tent, Daenerys begins to write her own letters. Only hers don't carry a name. They carry a death sentence. They carry a death sentence. The North had seen fire before. Wildling raids, Bolton cruelty, the War of the Five Kings. But what brewed now, this wasn't war. This was betrayal growing in silence. No banners, no horns, just whispers behind stone walls, and looks that lasted 1 second too long. Winterfell had become a castle of secrets. Daenerys remained at the outpost, preparing for the final march to stop the Night King. But her messages had already flown. Quiet, deadly things, carried not by ravens, but by assassins, one name. One target, Aegon Targaryen, Jon still didn't know. He thought telling her the truth was the end of it. He didn't see how she looked at him now. How she smiled less, slept less, planned more, and always kept her weapons near. Arya returned to Winterfell just before dawn, slipping past the guards unnoticed. Her face wasn't hers. Not at first. She only revealed herself to Bran, who was waiting in the Godswood. "She's going to kill him," he said before she even spoke. Arya nodded. "I saw the dagger. Coated in blackroot venom." Bran looked toward the horizon. "Tell Sansa, the game has started. Hold up. Right here. This is where the tables start flipping so fast you can't even breathe. We've got Arya in full faceless mode. Bran seeing future death and Daenerys preparing to silence the bloodline that threatens her. And Sansa? Sansa had already made her move. She had sent ravens too, not about Jon, not directly. She sent them to the Lords of the Reach and the Vale. The same message repeated. Winterfell stands for the true heir, no signature, no name, but they would understand. And once Jon was crowned, whether he wanted it or not, Daenerys would have no choice but to kneel, or burn. Tyrion was the first to realize the realm was splitting. He confronted Varys. "You started this," Tyrion hissed. "I only revealed the truth. You lit the fire. And Daenerys will answer with flame." They stared at each other in silence. The line had been drawn. Tyrion walked away, and then came the blood. The assassin struck just before the march north resumed. Jon had been saying farewell to the dead, northern scouts fallen in a skirmish, his cloak heavy with snow. His hand resting on Longclaw, the blade came from behind, fast, quiet, sure. But Ghost moved quicker. The direwolf tackled the cloaked figure mid-strike. Jon turned just in time to see a man's face melt into terror beneath Arya's blade. She didn't hesitate. She slit his throat before he could scream. Jon stared at the body, shocked. "Who was he?" "Your killer," Arya said simply. "Who sent him?" "Ask your queen, damn, just damn. This is the twist that unravels everything. Not a rumor, not a fear, a fact. Daenerys tried to have Jon Snow killed. And the Starks? They don't forgive that. Jon confronted her that night. In her war tent, maps unrolled, flames dancing across her armor. She turned to him with eyes that no longer looked at him the same way. Like she had already said goodbye. "You sent someone to kill me," he said. She didn't deny it. "You're a threat to everything I've built," she said. "I told you I didn't want the throne, and yet they want you. So you'll kill anyone they follow?" "I'll kill anyone who breaks what I bled to build." Jon stepped back like he'd been struck. "You're becoming what you hate. I'm becoming what's necessary." "No," he said quietly. "You're becoming alone," she turned away. "I'd rather rule alone than die loved." Meanwhile, at Winterfell, Sansa prepared the council. Jon Royce of the Vale, Ser Davos, Arya. Even Sam had returned with ancient scrolls proving Jon's birth. The table was set. Sansa spoke. "Jon Snow is Aegon Targaryen, born of ice and fire, a Stark and a Targaryen. He is the unifier the realm needs." "But he won't claim it," Davos reminded her. "Then we must claim it for him." The decision was made. That night, under the old gods, they crowned Jon, not in ceremony but in truth. He wasn't told, not yet. They planned to bring the realm to him, and let the choice be his. But Varys already knew, and Varys told Daenerys. "You've already lost," he said. She stared at him. "They crowned him behind your back. Then they've made their choice. At what will you do?" "What I always do," she whispered. "I will take what is mine, with fire and blood." "Wait, what? Did Daenerys just declare war on the North?" "On Winterfell." "Oh, you have no idea what's about to go down in Part 5. But let me just say this. Dragons are coming, and this time, not to save anyone." That night, Bran's eyes rolled white again. He saw fire falling over Winterfell. He saw Arya bleeding in the snow. He saw Drogon screaming over a broken wall. He saw Jon standing in a black cloak. "Alone," he whispered one word. "A warning, she burns it all." A warning, she burns it all. The dawn over Winterfell should have been a symbol of hope. Instead, it came painted in ash. No horns, no ravens, no demands. Just a shadow in the sky and the slow, awful sound of wings beating against the cold wind. Drogon was coming, but Daenerys wasn't seeking parley. She was coming to finish what she believed was betrayal. Jon hadn't declared himself king. He hadn't summoned bannermen, but the North had crowned him anyway. And that, to Daenerys Stormborn, was treason in its purest form. She flew alone. No army, no unsullied. No banners. Just fire. Inside Winterfell, the Stark siblings gathered at the high table. Bran's face was pale. He didn't speak, just stared at the sky through the shattered window. Sansa paced. Arya sharpened her blade. Jon stood like a statue. His eyes said nothing. His silence said everything. "They'll say you called her here," Sansa whispered. "I didn't," Jon replied. "She thinks you did. She wants a reason to burn us. She doesn't need a reason." "Just an excuse," Arya stood. "We don't wait. We strike first." "No," Jon said. "We don't kill her." "Why not?" "Because if we kill her, we become her." But the sound outside made the debate pointless. The ground trembled. People screamed. The sky caught fire. Drogon hovered above the godswood like a winged omen of death. Daenerys dismounted slowly. Her silver braid danced in the wind. She walked through the front gate as if Winterfell were already hers. No one stopped her. No one dared. Inside the hall, the heat followed her like a second skin. Her eyes locked on Jon. She said nothing. She didn't look at Sansa. She didn't acknowledge Arya, only him. "You lied to me," she said. "I told you the truth," Jon replied. "You let them crown you. I didn't ask for it. You didn't stop it." She stepped closer. Her voice broke, rage barely held behind clenched teeth. "I bled across the sea for this realm. I freed slaves. I burned tyrants. I walked through fire. And now I'm told to kneel to someone who never wanted anything but the snow." He didn't flinch. "I'm not your enemy. You're my end," and that was it. The line in the ice. The queen who saved the world now threatened to break it. But before anyone could speak again, Bran stood. For the first time truly stood. "Stop," he said, and his voice was like the trees in winter, still but endless. "You burn the north and you'll burn the future." Daenerys narrowed her eyes. "You see the future?" "I see your ash covering the world." Daenerys turned to Jon. "Tell them to kneel. Tell them to swear fealty." Jon hesitated. "Jon," Sansa stepped between them. "We won't kneel to fear." And that was all it took. Daenerys stepped back, her expression hollow. "So be it." She turned and walked away. Out the gates, onto Drogon's back, and the sky screamed, "Hold up, this is the moment. This is the moment. It's not just political now. It's personal. The Queen of Dragons is unleashing everything." And the North? They're seconds away from total annihilation. Drogon rose into the air. His wings pulled the wind with them. He turned toward the walls of Winterfell and opened his jaws, but before the fire fell, Arya moved. No one saw her leave. No one heard her steps. But she was already on the ramparts, leaping onto the rope ladder that led to the upper tower. She ran toward the beast. Her blade, Valyrian steel, shone against the morning. Son Drogon fired. A full blast of flame turned the courtyard into an inferno. Soldiers screamed. Walls cracked. Jon shoved Bran out of the way. Sansa collapsed, coughing on smoke, and Arya jumped. She jumped, right from the tower onto Drogon's neck, just like in the Battle of Winterfell, but this time she didn't have surprise on her side. She had fury. She stabbed once, twice. Drogon roared, twisted mid-air, slammed into the wall. Arya was flung like a broken doll, smashing into a rooftop, rolling to the ground, motionless. Jon screamed her name. Daenerys was still atop Drogon, bleeding now. Her shoulder sliced from Arya's first strike. She locked eyes with Jon as Drogon prepared to fire again. And then Bran stepped into the storm, his eyes turned white, and Drogon stopped mid-breath, mid-fire. The great beast froze, his wings jittering, his neck trembling, as if something inside him warred for control. Daenerys looked down in horror. "What are you doing?" she screamed. Bran stood, unmoving. "I'm showing him what you've done." Drogon let out a different sound now. Not rage, not fire, grief. He bucked violently. Threw Daenerys off. She fell into the snow, hard. Her armor cracked. Her breath fled, and Drogon landed beside her. Looked at her, not with loyalty, but with recognition. Pain. He turned away. Daenerys crawled forward, stunned, gasping. "Wait, no." But Drogon took flight again, alone this time, and vanished into the cold skies. Winterfell stood, smoldering but not destroyed. Daenerys lay broken in the snow. Jon knelt beside her. "You came to burn us. I came to save us. From ourselves. And look what you've become." She reached for his hand. He didn't take it. Sansa stepped beside them, sword drawn. "She has to stand trial." "No," Daenerys whispered. "I'll never kneel again." And then Arya stirred, bloodied, limping but alive. "She doesn't have to kneel," Arya said. "She just has to leave." A silence fell. Jon stood. He looked at Daenerys, the woman he had loved, the queen he had followed, the ruler who almost destroyed them all. And then he looked at his sisters. He made his choice. Daenerys was taken to the crypts below Winterfell, not as a prisoner, but as a queen stripped of her crown. The cold in the crypts of Winterfell wasn't just from the stone. It came from the ghosts, too. The weight of history, the eyes of dead kings and lost Starks watching from their tombs. Daenerys Targaryen sat in silence between them, a queen without a throne, her wrists bound in leather straps, not chains. Jon had insisted on that much. She stared into the flickering torchlight, not pleading, not afraid, just distant. Above, Winterfell was rebuilding again. Rubble cleared, fires put out. The scars from Drogon's breath would take longer to fade than the stone ever would. The people whispered. They had seen her try to burn their home, and they had seen the Starks survive it. Again word spread. The queen had fallen, but this wasn't over. Not even close. In the great hall, Jon stood before the lords of the North and the Vale, surrounded by faces full of expectation, tension, and fear. Not of the White Walkers anymore, not of dragons, but of what came next. Sansa's voice was clear. She tried to destroy Winterfell. "She failed," Jon replied. "She tried. And she's alive because I stopped her." Jon Royce stood. "She broke our trust. That's treason." Tyrion stepped forward from the shadows. or desperation, which in the wrong hands becomes tyranny, but in the right hands can still be guided. The room stirred. Tyrion's words were careful, but Jon saw through them. "She's not a monster," Jon said. "No," Sansa replied. "She's a fire with no limits." Arya sat silently in the corner, bandaged and bruised. But watching, always watching, Bran spoke finally. She saw herself as the only hope. But hope, when threatened, can destroy everything in its way. "Okay, pause. Let's just absorb this. We're in uncharted territory here. Dany's alive. Jon's refusing to kill her. Sansa wants her gone. The Lords want justice. And Bran, who sees everything, just called her hope and destruction at once. If you're still breathing calmly, you're watching the wrong show." Outside, the realm was waking up. The raven Tyrion had sent to King's Landing arrived. Cersei was dead, slain by the remnants of the wildfire Dany had unleashed when she took the capital weeks ago. But King's Landing was not empty. Gendry Baratheon, legitimized by Daenerys before her fall, now sat as Lord of Storm's End. He held the city gates and had declared neutrality. "I serve no queen," he said in his raven reply. "I serve only the realm. If you wish to speak peace, send the true king." And just like that, the title no one wanted fell back on Jon's shoulders. Varys' letters had spread. The Lords of the Reach had sent envoys. Even Dorne stirred from its isolation. They all asked the same question: will Aegon Targaryen claim the throne? Jon stood on the walls of Winterfell that night, looking out over the snow. Ghost lay at his side, wounded but healing. Tyrion joined him. "You're the last person I thought would be king," Tyrion said. Jon didn't laugh. "I don't want it. You said that before. And I meant it, but it keeps finding you. Maybe it's not about what you want. Maybe it's about who Westeros can live with." Jon didn't reply. Tyrion sighed. "If you don't act soon, others will." That same night, Sansa met with the council again. She wasn't waiting anymore. She had summoned the Northern Lords and several Vale Knights. "We declare independence," she said. Jon Royce nodded. "The North will never kneel again. If Jon takes the crown, he can rule the South. But the North belongs to itself." Arya leaned in. "And if he doesn't take the crown?" "Then he dies," Sansa said flatly. Holy, did Sansa just drop a death sentence on her own brother? Yep. She's not bluffing. She's calculating. In her mind, Jon's survival endangers the North if Dany ever escapes, if the South ever rises again, or if the realm ever unites under the wrong banner. And Bran, he saw it, all of it. He met Jon in the Godswood alone. "You always tried to do what was right," Bran said. "And look what it's cost me." Bran nodded. "The cost isn't over." Jon turned. "What do you see? You standing before a throne and walking away. Then I don't become king." "No," Bran said. "You become something worse." Boom, you feel that? That's destiny slapping Jon in the face. Because now we know there's no good ending here. Not for him. Not for Dany, not for the North. There's only survival, and what they're willing to sacrifice for it. Meanwhile, below the castle, Daenerys had visitors. First was Arya. She walked into the crypts without a word, stared at the woman who'd nearly killed her. "You saved me once," Arya said, "at the dragon pit. When Cersei threatened Jon, I remember that." Daenerys nodded. "And now you tried to burn me alive." "I didn't see your face," Dany said softly. "You never do," Arya whispered. "That's the problem." She left before Daenerys could answer. Next came Sansa, but she didn't come to speak. She came to judge. "You would have made a good queen," Sansa said, "if you weren't so afraid of losing." "I didn't fear loss," Daenerys replied. "I feared betrayal. And I was right. You fear Jon," Sansa said, "because the realm loves him." "No, I fear him because you love him." Sansa's expression hardened. "Love isn't weakness." "No," Daenerys said, "it's the sharpest knife." And just like that, two queens stood in the dark, one in chains, the other in furs, and both realized only one would leave Winterfell alive. The decision came the next morning. Jon stood in the courtyard as all of Winterfell gathered. Bran sat in his chair. Arya stood beside him. Sansa by the gate. Jon looked to Tyrion. "She tried to burn my family. And you stopped her. She tried to kill me. And you saved her. She's not a threat anymore. Not until someone frees her." Jon's eyes scanned the crowd. He could feel the weight of the realm pressing down. The South, the North, the throne, the blood. He walked slowly toward the crypts. Daenerys looked up as he entered. He said only one thing, "I loved you." And then she looked at him like he was still hers, even now bound, bloodied, disgraced. Daenerys Targaryen saw Jon Snow not as the man chosen by the realm, not as Aegon Targaryen, rightful heir, but as the man who once stood beside her and whispered promises into the firelit night. But Jon's eyes were different now. No warmth, no tears, just a quiet kind of sorrow, the kind that didn't need explanation, the kind that came when you realized love wasn't enough to fix what had already burned. "I loved you," he repeated, slower this time. Daenerys gave a bitter smile. "And now you've come to kill me?" Jon stepped closer. "No. Then why are you here?" "To give you a choice. Hold up, this is it. The moment we've all been waiting for. Jon Snow, Aegon Targaryen, face to face with the Dragon Queen in chains. But this isn't a trial. This isn't mercy. This is the final crossroad between peace and blood." Jon knelt. She flinched. "Come with me," he said. "What? Leave it all. The throne, the war, the crown. Let the realm tear itself apart if it must. We leave across the sea. No banners, no blades, no fire." For the first time in days, she blinked like she didn't understand him. "You'd run with me? I would have died with you. Why not kill me instead?" "Because I'd be killing what's left of myself." Daenerys looked away. "You know I can't do that," she said, voice breaking. You know I can't walk away. Not after all I've lost." "You'll lose more," Jon warned. "This ends in your death or the realm's." She looked up at him, eyes brimming with something not quite tears. "And if I say no?" "Then I walk away," Jon said. "And I won't stop them when they come." The silence stretched between them, long and sharp. She finally said, "Then walk." He stood, backed away, slowly, regret heavy in every step, and when he left the crypts he didn't look back. But Arya was already waiting. She said no. She said no. "Then she's already dead," Arya said. Meanwhile, above, Sansa had prepared Winterfell for what came next. She summoned the council. Lords from across the realm had arrived. Gendry, Jon Royce, Davos, even Brienne stood tall in the back. They waited for Jon's verdict. "She won't leave," he told them. "She won't kneel?" Sansa asked. "She'd rather burn." Bran's eyes glazed over for a moment. 1,000 possibilities passed through his mind. Only one ended in peace. "She must be removed," he said. "Alive. Or dead." But Jon didn't speak. Tyrion did. "She tried to burn this castle," he said. "She'll try again. And next time Bran won't be able to stop Drogon." "She doesn't have Drogon anymore," Jon said. "No," Tyrion agreed. "But dragons always come back." Then Davos quietly, "We must do what she wouldn't, and let peace survive her." The decision was made. That night Arya entered the crypts, alone. She stood over Daenerys like a shadow. "No faces this time," she said. "I'm not afraid," Daenerys whispered. "You should be." Arya drew her dagger. But before she could move, Daenerys said, "You're not the one meant to end me." Arya paused. "Then who is?" Daenerys smiled faintly. "He is." And boom, goosebumps. This is that moment when fate circles back and whispers, "It was always you." Because Jon Snow had tried mercy. He'd tried love. He even tried running. But fate doesn't care about mercy, and the realm doesn't care about love. That night Jon returned to the crypts. Daenerys stood unbound. Tyrion had ordered it. One last mercy she didn't resist. They stared at each other one last time. "You could have saved me," she said. "I did," he whispered. "No, you saved the realm." He nodded. "And I'm sorry for that." Then fast, clean, silent, Longclaw pierced her heart. She gasped once, her hand on his chest. Blood blooming like a rose. And then she fell, quiet, like snow, no fire, no last words. No dragons screaming from the sky, just Jon kneeling beside her, holding her body, weeping for the woman who could have changed the world and chose to conquer it instead. And that's when Drogon returned. He came like a storm, landed in the courtyard roaring, searching, and when he found her, he didn't attack Jon, he screamed to the heavens, fire pouring into the sky. And then he did the unthinkable. He burned the Iron Throne, not the man, not the castle, just the symbol that killed her. And then he took her body in his claws and vanished into the clouds. Jon stood watching, armor-scorched, eyes empty. Tyrion approached slowly. "It's done," Jon said. "No," Tyrion replied. It's finally beginning. Weeks passed. The council reconvened. Sansa declared the North a free kingdom. No blood, no war, no argument. Arya left on her own ship, west of Westeros. As free as ever, Bran was chosen, not by blood, not by banners, but by truth. Bran the broken, the one who knew history, the one who saw past greed, the one who could not father more kings. And Jon, he chose exile, not forced, not demanded, just chosen, back to the Night's Watch, back to the cold, back to the wall. He rode out with Ghost beside him. No crown, no title, just snow beneath his feet and silence in his heart. The final shot. Jon looking beyond the wall, past the trees, past the white into the future. A future without dragons, without fire, without thrones. Just men, choosing better for once. Men, choosing better for once.